Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. The alarm screams first, then our kid coughs behind me. I grab the handle and wrench the stove off hard. Flame gutters, pan hisses, air tastes bitter enough to bite. My wife sits on the tiles with her phone lifted. Why is she listening while the room burns? I'm Daniel, 35, and I can't split myself in three. I yank open the window and the hinge snags my wrist. The detector keeps drilling the ceiling like a wasp. Come on, I shout, but she only tilts the phone closer. Does she hear anything except that one voice? Mom, call me back. The voicemail leaks through static and breath. My son clings to my leg and trembles against my knee. I scoop him up and shove the door with my shoulder. Outside air slaps hard and stops his cough in bursts. Will he remember me or the noise? Mara steps over the threshold slow, phone still to her ear. Her eyes miss me and land past the hedge. Another message plays, the words thick and pleading. I motion to the neighbor staring from her stoop. If I blink, will she dial the police? I rush back in for the breaker and the shriek drops. Silence floods in too fast and feels fake. A pot clatters as I drag it to the sink. Water explodes and steam punches my face. What else will explode if I stop watching? Mara edges inside and presses the phone to her chest. Don't touch those, she whispers, but not to me. The counter is streaked and the floor is slick. Our son peeks from the doorway and bites his lip. Why am I the only one moving? I take her wrist and she pulls free, no words. Her thumb finds the rewind and the message repeats. My head tightens and the room shrinks by inches. Enough, I say, and my mouth tastes like metal. What do I grab that she won't fight? The hoodie sleeve rides up as she shields the screen. Her breath quickens and her shoulders lock square. A long beep fills the speaker, then the final click. She winces and presses the phone to her forehead. How long has that click ruled our kitchen? I open the cabinet and drag out the extinguisher. The neighbor's knuckles thud the door twice, then harder. Everything fine, she calls through the frame. Mara flinches but doesn't answer or look. Do I call for help or save tonight's secret? Our boy's voice wobbles. Water, he points to the sink. I hand him a cup and kneel to meet his eyes. We're okay, I say, even though we are. The cup trembles against his teeth and spills down. How many reassurances can a throat invent? I set the extinguisher by the stove and stare at it. It's a dare I don't want to need again. Mara slides past me and gathers scattered photos. She stacks them by the kettle like they might warm. What happens when heat is all we have? The alarm resets with a soft chirp that sounds smug. I kill the gas at the valve and check the knob. My hands keep shaking even after the clicks stop. Mara presses play and the message loops once more. When does a loop become a marriage? I slide her phone into the junk drawer and turn the key. Her hand shoots out and finds my wrist fast. Give it back, fingernails bite and then slip. Our kid watches from the hallway with a quiet frown. If I loosen first, everything collapses again. I'll play it once, she says, shoulders squared hard. Not today, I pocket the key and point to the stove. Kitchen is off limits until we reset. She laughs once, short and brittle like a snapped twig. How long before that laugh turns into sirens? I guide our boy to the table and pour cereal. He drums the edge with 2 knuckles and stares down. Mara hovers behind me, breath quick and hot. This is control, she says, voice low but loaded. Is safety just another word for war? I answer slow because fast words make sparks. We need rules that keep him safe. She looks at our son, then at the drawer. Her fingers flex and then curl into fists. Who am I protecting if she won't join? I walk to the spare room and push the door. The candles are new and the pictures have multiplied. On the chair sits a folded sweater like a body. The air shifts and my chest tightens on instinct. What did she add while I was at work? I pick up the frames and set them in a box. 1, 2, 3, my rhythm keeps me steady. From the hall, the floor creaks once, then twice. Mara enters and freezes with her arms crossed. Is this where we finally break the glass? Don't move those, her jaw ticks and holds. We'll keep one shelf, I offer without blinking. She steps forward and drags the box toward the chair. The bottom snags and a photo slides out. What else will slide if I ease off? Our kid peeks in and hugs the door jamb. Is Grandma coming over? He asks, eyes searching. Mara closes her eyes like the question stings. I crouch and shake my head once, careful and firm. Truth can't land gently when the floor shakes. I carry the box to the hallway and set it down. Mara blocks the path with a narrow stance. We agreed nothing gets hidden, she whispers, shock. Ing. We agreed nobody gets hurt, I answer, steady. Which promise matters when both can't stand? She lunges for the drawer and yanks the handle. The key is in my pocket and sweat slicks my palm. She looks back at me and then at the door. Her shoulders fall and something like a plea surfaces. How many pleas before the house stops listening? The neighbor sends a text after a single knock. Everything okay? The message pulses bright and patient. I type back that we had smoke and it's handled. 3 dots blink for too long and then vanish. Who else has noticed the pattern through thin walls? My work phone buzzes against the table twice. Unknown number, I let it ring one more time. A recorded voice warns about another missed appointment. I hang up and stare at the ceiling seam. What will snap first, job or marriage? Mara sits on the floor by the drawer and waits. No tears, just a stillness that feels like planning. I'll call someone, she says, fingertips tapping her knee. Call the counselor, I answer, already bracing. Which someone will arrive wearing a badge. She stands and reaches for our son, arms open. He leans in and presses his face to her shoulder. I take a step back and watch the 3 of us. We look like a picture that keeps going blurry. How much blur can a kid read as normal? Dinner is delivery, I say to cut the fuse. No candles, no oven, no exceptions. She nods once without meeting my eyes. That nod has weight, but it also has edges. Which edge will catch me when night falls? I collect the box and carry it to the closet. The shelf wobbles under the new load and settles. I close the door and hold the knob a beat. On the other side, Mara's breath steadies to a rhythm. Is this quiet a truce or just regrouping? Our kid asks for his bedtime story early. I read 2 pages and my voice keeps slipping. He yawns and nudges my shoulder until I smile. Mara stands in the doorway with her arms folded. What does she hear when I say tomorrow? After lights out, I place the key above the fridge. I text the counselor and ask for the next slot. A reply lands with a time and a warning. Both of you or it won't hold. Will we both walk in before the next fire? I return to the drawer and check the lock once more. Mara watches from the end of the hall in silence. She nods again, smaller this time, eyes fixed. I'll try, the words leave like a breath she owed. What does try mean when the past keeps dialing? Knuckles pound the door twice, then a radio crackles through wood. I open to 2 uniforms and a clipboard held high. A voice asks if everyone is safe inside right now. Mara hovers behind me with her arms tight to ribs. My mouth answers yes while my chest says maybe. They step in after a nod from me and scan fast. Our kid sits on the couch and squeezes a pillow. Who called? I ask, eyes on their belts. Anonymous welfare concern, the taller one replies, pen ready. I feel the shape of the key burn my pocket. Mara gestures toward the kitchen with her chin and stiff shoulders. He hides messages, she says, voice thin and trembling. The officers watch me reach for the fridge top slowly. I take the key and show the locked drawer cleanly. My son counts under his breath and reaches 10. Open it, the shorter one says without blinking. I unlock the drawer and place the phone on the counter. Call log shows missed numbers and a recent voicemail. The taller one clears his throat and looks at Mara. She backs away like the device might bite. Any threats today? The taller asks, eyes on me. Only to the smoke alarm, I answer with a half smile. The joke dies, nobody bites, and he marks the sheet. They remind us about safety plans and numbers to call. I nod until the door shuts and the boots fade. My work line buzzes next and rattles the table. HR wants clarification about reports made in my name. I step into the hall and steady my tone. I'm available and functioning, I say with slow care. A pause hangs long enough to bruise the afternoon. Back in the kitchen, Mara stares at the phone. She doesn't touch it, she just watches it like prey. I set an appointment, she says, hands clasped tight. With who? I ask, already bracing for impact. A medium tonight, she can bridge this gap. The breath leaves me and returns in pieces. You booked her here? I ask with teeth together. In the spare room, she answers and starts gathering items. Our kid drifts closer with wide curiosity and bare feet. This cannot become his bedtime routine. I follow her to the room and block the doorway. No candles, no glow, no small fires, I say flat. She uses recordings, Mara answers, lifting a battery light. She arranges objects with quick hands and shallow breaths. My stomach tightens because I know I will stop this. The medium arrives on video and speaks through tinny audio. Mara sits straight and our kid perches on a stool. Repeat after me, the voice instructs. Through the phone. My boy mouths the words like a game he wants. I step between and hold up my palm. We're not doing this with him, I say quietly. Mara's face hardens and she silences the screen. He needs to hear she's okay, she insists, jaw tight. He needs sleep more than rituals, I answer, shoulders squared. A tremor runs through her hands like a last warning. She reaches for the stool and tips it by accident. Our kid flinches and grabs my thigh with both fists. The frames on the shelf shiver as if ready to fall. I lift him and carry him to his room wordless. Tonight will not add another ghost to his dreams. In the hallway, Mara leans against the wall and watches me. Her eyes look dry yet close to breaking open. I can't do this alone, spills out like a confession. You aren't alone if you stop pulling me under, I answer. We're inches apart and somehow miles. I walk to the closet and pull down a small bag. 2 shirts, fresh socks, toothbrush, enough for one night. Mara sees the bag and reaches for the strap slowly. Don't go, she whispers, fingers hovering like they burn. My grip tightens because lines matter now. One condition, I say, voice steady but heavy. Counselor tomorrow, group if needed, I sit in. She nods once and stares at the floor hard. If you skip, I take him to my brother, I add. Her shoulders drop because consequences finally have shape. We put our kid to bed early with a quiet book. He drifts off mid-sentence while gripping my sleeve. Mara stands in the doorway like a shadow that thinks. I tuck the blanket and wait for his breathing to settle. Leaving now would scar deeper than staying tonight. In the kitchen, the phone lights with an unknown number. Voicemail transcribes to 1 word and then 3 dots. Mara's eyes lock on the screen without blinking. I place the key on the counter between us. Some objects weigh more than they should. She slides the phone toward me with 2 careful fingers. Keep it tonight, she says, throat tight and raw. I'll sit on my hands if I have to. I pocket the device and feel its hum against bone. Promises mean little without morning proof. I curl on the couch while the house listens. The bag sits by the door like a threat. My pulse matches the fridge motor and then slows. I stare at the ceiling until the plaster swims. Something will give before the week ends. The counselor opens the door and waves us in fast. Mara stops short and checks my pocket for the phone. I keep it there and meet the counselor's eyes. We start with safety, he says, pen ready. My chest knots because that word carries teeth. Devices face down, he instructs, palm out for emphasis. I place mine on the table with the screen dark. Mara hesitates, then unlocks hers and sets it beside. Her fingers linger near it like a magnet pulling. Which finger will break ranks first? List the rules you broke this week, he watches both of us. I mention the stove and the late calls. Mara leans forward and stares at the carpet squares. I ask for help, she mutters, shoulders tight. Help that drags us under still counts as harm. Who called the officers, he asks, steady and neutral. Silence stretches until the room hums. Mara exhales once and lifts her hand halfway. I did, she says, eyes fixed on the table. My jaw locks because that changes everything. She folds her arms and keeps talking in clipped phrases. I needed leverage, I was scared you, remove everything. The counselor nods and writes slowly without looking up. Leverage creates backlash, he says with a calm voice. I picture our kid flinching at uniforms again. Boundaries, he continues, marker tapping the pad. Kitchen off limits without supervision, bedroom phone free. Mara flinches at phone free and shakes her head. He holds it at night, she says through clenched teeth. Even the pronouns feel like territory now. I reach for the paper and add a line. No recordings when our child is present, none. Mara's mouth opens, then closes as if tasting memory. He asks about her, she argues with a tight whisper. He asks because we lead him there. The counselor raises a hand and draws 2 boxes. Grieving, parenting, he taps each one until we nod. Choose which box you stand in before you act. Mara watches the tip of the marker like a metronome. My pulse syncs with it and refuses to slow. He turns to me and adjusts his glasses once. What will you do if promises break again? I pack a bag and take our boy overnight, I answer. Mara's shoulders drop and her knuckles go pale. Consequences spoken aloud hit harder than threats. The session clock beeps and he keeps us seated. One more piece, he adds without softening the tone. Transparency, any contact with workplaces or schools ends. Mara looks up fast like she heard an alarm. A small twitch gives away a hidden move. Did you reach out again? I ask, voice even. Her foot taps twice and then S. Top's dead. I emailed HR this morning to check your status. Heat flashes behind my eyes and then cools. We are one step from no return. The counselor writes a short plan and flips the page. 3 calls this week, 1 joint, 2 solo. Mara nods once and keeps her gaze pinned low. I sign the bottom and push the pen across. Her signature lands shaky like a held breath. We walk to the parking lot without touching. Mara unlocks the car and pauses with the door half open. I want the memorial corner back tonight, she says. Half stays boxed until month's end, I counter. Her eyes flick to the rear seat where our son rides. Then we move it to the garage, she tries again. Not near chemicals, I answer without raising my tone. Spare closet, she offers with a small nod. Top shelf with a latch, I finish, already picturing it. We bargain because breaking clean still scares us. The phone buzzes in my pocket even before ignition. Unknown number, voicemail drops without ringing long. I press play on speaker so there's no debate. A recorded reminder about missed payments fills the car. Mara grips the steering wheel and doesn't blink. I made a donation under her name, she murmurs. For a foundation she followed online. How much, I ask, staring at the dashboard clock. She swallows hard and lifts 2 fingers slowly. $2,000 out means trust drops below 0. We drive home in a hush that thumps like static. Our kid kicks his shoes and asks for pizza. Mara nods like the word grants temporary amnesty. I order quickly and keep my voice level. Food buys minutes, not peace. At the door I hand her the counselor's sheet. Stick this on the fridge and don't move it. She smooths the corner and places a magnet with care. Her hands hover as if preparing to peel it off. I breathe through the urge to watch it constantly. During dinner she keeps glancing toward the hallway. I know what waits there and why she twitches. I rise and take the storage bin from the closet. Half of the items go back to the shelf carefully. Each return feels like a bet I may lose. Our son finishes and wipes his mouth with his sleeve. Story now, he asks with a hopeful grin. Mara nods and touches his hair with a light pat. I'll clean up afterward, she offers without looking up. Offers matter if they come with follow-through. I tuck our boy in and close the door to a crack. On the way back I hear a soft chime from the kitchen. Mara stands over the phones with both hands flat. She slides hers across to me and steps back slowly. A surrender that might hold until morning. I place both devices in the cabinet and lock it. The key goes on top of the frame out of reach. Mara watches and exhales like air finally moved. We try again tomorrow, she says without embellishment. Trying is cheaper than divorce, but maybe not for long. A firm knock wakes the house before the clock hits 7. 2 badges at the door ask for a quick look around. I step aside and call our kid to the front room. Mara lingers by the hallway with her arms tucked in. Every question from them feels like a fuse lit. Do you feel safe at home? The woman crouches to eye level. Our kid glances at me, then whispers a practiced phrase. Grandma leaves messages when the tiny fires glow. The man's pen stops midair and he meets my stare. I steer them toward the kitchen to keep him out. They open cabinets, check outlets, make notes with steady hands. Today we're closing this as educational, the woman says. Follow up next week, her partner adds with a neutral face. I thank them while my gut pounds like a dropped hammer. Once the door shuts, Mara's shoulders finally sag down. You taught him that line, I say, voice flat and low. She looks past me and grips the counter until her knuckles blanch. He needs comfort, she answers, breath shallow and quick. Comfort cannot involve sparks, I answer and point to the fridge list. She turns away as if the rules glare back. My email pings with a subject that chills my jaw. Administrative leave pending investigation. The words punch harder than any lecture. Someone phoned HR again using my name last night. I check our call history and find nothing familiar. Laundry rattles in the washer with an offbeat clunk. Inside a pocket, I find a slim prepaid phone. The battery icon blinks like a smirk I want to crush. Recent calls show my office and the counselor's number. I hold it out and Mara flinches before stepping closer. "Where did you get that?" she asks, throat tight. "I found it in your clothes," I answer, keeping distance. She closes her eyes, then opens them with a hard glare. "It was for emergencies," she says, jaw set like concrete. Calling my boss at midnight is not emergency protocol. I slide the device into a zip bag and seal it. "Return the hoodie to the box today," I add. We meet the counselor at noon for a handover. She leans on the counter and studies a scratch on the surface. "Give me the voicemail tonight and I'll comply." We barter while our kid builds a train on the carpet. "Therapist holds the recordings," I say without blinking. "You can listen during sessions under supervision." She bites her lip and nods with a tiny movement. "Then I need group tonight," she whispers, almost inaudible. Agreements made under pressure still count. I transfer money to a separate account in 3 clicks. Bills stay paid, extras pause until trust returns. Mara watches the screen and rubs her wrists in small circles. "Tell me what else you're taking," she mutters, barely audible. "I'm taking responsibility for him," I answer, steady and plain. At noon, we sit across from the counselor again. He sets out a lockbox with a code we choose together. Mara places the hoodie inside with hands that won't stop trembling. The prepaid phone goes next, wrapped and powered off. I enter the code and feel my breathing even out. "Homework," he says, looking at both of us in turn. "List triggers, pick substitutes that don't involve heat or risk." Mara writes one word and then presses the pen too hard. "Voice notes of us," she offers, eyes glistening but focused. I agree because it keeps our kid out of the fire. Evening comes with a folding chair circle and a clipboard check-in. Mara sits between strangers and grips her knee to keep still. When her turn arrives, she speaks in short, scraped sentences. I keep chasing a call I missed, she manages between breaths. No details, just the ache formed into simple shapes. After group, we sit in the car without starting the engine. "Delete the backup voicemail on your cloud," I say. Her head snaps toward me like a challenge I invited. "The counselor stores a copy for therapy access," I add. She scrolls, stares, then hovers over the trash icon. Our kid giggles from the back seat at a cartoon line. Mara's thumb shakes, then the file disappears with a soft chime. She exhales a sound that lands somewhere between relief and grief. I watch the reflection of her face in the rearview mirror. Small steps, but the cliff is still close. A new email lands while we pull into the driveway. HR schedules a hearing for Friday at 9 sharp. "Bring documentation," the message reads like a verdict preview. I print the counselor's plan and gather timestamps FR. Today. If I fail there, everything else collapses. Inside, I lay out pajamas while Mara tidies the table. Our kid requests the silly story with the marching animals. I switch words to keep it light and ridiculous. He snorts and grabs my wrist until I keep reading. Laughter helps, but the night keeps watching. While brushing teeth, I hear the unmistakable rush of water. I sprint to the bathroom and see the tub filling fast. The faucet is turned full open with no one near it. Mara appears in the doorway and raises both hands. "I forgot," she says, face blank and stunned. I wrench the tap off and toss towels across the floor. Water laps the edge and then retreats in slow ripples. Our kid shouts from his room asking if we're swimming. I swallow a curse and answer that everything is fine. Another crisis dodged by inches. I return to the hallway and meet Mara halfway. "No more open flames, no running water unattended, no rituals," I say. She nods and wipes her face with the back of her wrist. "I'm drowning without them," she says with a raw whisper. I hear a truth there and it scares me. I text my brother and ask for a spare bed tomorrow. He replies with a thumbs up and the word ready. Mara sees the screen glow and grips the doorframe hard. "Are you leaving?" she asks, not even breathing. "Only if the rules break again," I answer, equally firm. We lock both phones in the cabinet and set the code twice. I tuck our kid in and sit until his breathing slows. Mara stands in the hall with her palms open like surrender. Will you come to bed? She asks without moving closer. I hesitate because hesitation is the only honest thing. Downstairs, I gather the counselor's sheet and the HR email. They go into a folder beside the prepaid phone bag. The house finally quiets, but it's a thin quiet. I lay on the couch and stare at the ceiling line. If tomorrow slips like tonight, I'm walking. The HR panel files in and shuts the door hard. A recorder clicks on and fixes every breath to a timeline. Did you authorize late-night calls to supervisors? The lead asks. No, I answer, palms open on the table. A lawyer leans forward and waits for my proof. I slide the sealed bag across and list the timestamps. The counselor's plan sits on top with signatures crisp. Third-party interference documented, the lead reads aloud. Will restore access after a probationary period. Relief lands thin, temporary, still better than nothing. In the parking lot, my phone vibrates twice in bursts. A message from Mara, 6 words with a picture attached. Registered for intensive program starts tonight. The photo shows a schedule with childcare noted clearly. I breathe out once and text back one condition. No solo rituals, no contact with my job, full pause. 3 dots appear, vanish, then return like a tug of war. Agreed, she replies, followed by a single heart. I pocket the phone and head home fast. Agreements survive only if the next hour obeys. At the door, our kid bounces and asks for pizza again. I point to leftovers and make it a game. He laughs and grabs my sleeve while chewing. Mara emerges in plain clothes with a small duffel. Her eyes hold steady, no twitch, no hunt. I need 40 minutes before check-in, she starts. Then I'm gone until 9, she finishes like a vow. Phone's locked first, I say and open the cabinet. She hands me both without flinching or excuses. The click of the lock feels like a new rule. We stand in the hallway like opponents in a ring. After group, we draft a home plan, I add. Curfews, spending caps, contact boundaries. She nods once with her jaw set. A house runs on rules or it runs on chaos. Our kid finishes eating and brings me his plate proudly. Can I draw a map for Mom? He asks. Mara crouches and kisses his forehead quick. Draw me the way back, she whispers and smiles small. I file that smile away like a receipt. She leaves for the clinic and the house goes quiet. I fill out the last page of the separation packet. Names, dates, custody time blocks, contingencies. The pen hesitates over the signature line. I slide the papers into a folder without ink. A knock hits the door with 2 quick raps. The neighbor stands there with a casserole and a look. I heard voices earlier, she says, brows pulled tight. We're taking steps, I answer, keeping my tone even. She hands over dinner like a truce flag with edges. After bedtime, I set a chair by the closet. The lockbox sits high behind blankets and boxes. I test the code and close it again. Trust is measured by how boring nights become. Boring still feels like a dream. 9:15, no car in the driveway yet. 9:22, my chest climbs my throat then drops. 9:29, headlights sweep the fence and stop. Mara walks in with damp hair and tired posture. The duffel swings low but stays zipped. Intake done, first session tomorrow at 7, she reports. Group again thirst. I family slot weekend morning. She unwraps a hospital wristband and places it down. I didn't reach for the recordings once. The words hold steady like they practice standing. We sit at the table with a blank sheet. Triggers, I write, then pass the pen across. She lists 3, each one a direct action. No poetry, no excuses, just landmines named. Naming them doesn't diffuse them, but it helps. My turn, I say and list my red lines. No calls to my office, no flames, no flooding. No stories that promise messages to our kid. She winces at the last one, then circles it. Circles mean target, practice starts now. Money, I add and tap the account breakdown. 2 signatures for donations or big purchases. She holds my gaze and nods once slowly. I'll earn back access with attendance and proof, she says. Proof beats promises when nights go long. Consequences, I continue and keep the pen moving. If rules break, I take him to my brother. She stares at the page and swallows hard. I sign the papers if it happens twice, I add. Her breath catches because twice sounds final. We tuck the plan under a magnet with a code. No secret copies, no edits without both in the room. Mara places her palm against the fridge like a pledge. Hold me to it, she says, voice steady. I am holding both of us to it. The cabinet lock turns and I pass her the phone. Alarm set for bedtime and morning check-in, I say. She programs reminders with me watching the screen. Nothing sneaky, nothing hidden, nothing late. Transparency is slow, but slow can win. We move to the hallway where the closet waits. I open the door and pull down the box. Sweatshirt on top, photos stacked beneath in order. 2 items only on display until review, I propose. She chooses a single frame and a journal. We set them on the high shelf above reach. Not in the bedroom, not in the kitchen, I add. She nods once and steps back to look. The arrangement is simple and safe enough. Grief gets space but not the whole house. I walk to the drawer where the forms rest. Mara watches as I place them in the middle. Your signature goes here if we crash, I explain. She reads every line and holds the pen still. Then she slides it back and meets my eyes. Not tonight, she says with a straight face. I want 30 days under this plan. 30 with audits, I counter, finger on the calendar. Daily check, weekly counselor review, random spot checks. She presses her thumb to each square like a stamp. Our kid coughs once and we both startle upright. We step to his door and listen for a beat. Breathing steady, no stirring, no nightmares. We stand there longer than needed, still listening. He deserves a home that doesn't hiss. Back at the table we record the routine. Wake times, meal times, device cutoffs, medication reminders. Mara writes them in clean blocks without flourish. Watching her follow through moves something heavy inside me. I don't trust it yet, but I want to. Last change, I say and slide my ring off. I place it beside the forms without drama. It goes back on after 30 clean days. Mara looks at the ring, then at me. She nods and removes hers with shaking hands. We set both rings in the lockbox and close it. 2 beeps confirm it shut and sealed. Mara leans her forehead to the door for a second. Hold me accountable tomorrow, she whispers, eyes open. I will, because tomorrow is the only story left. She curls on the couch while I kill the lights. No incense, no playback, no simmering water. Just the click of switches in a quiet house. I slide the folder into the drawer and pause. The line between pause and finish waits exactly here.